Well, anyway, so this guy's got this biggest company of owning franchises, and then he's being asked the question, and Newsom's like, nah, never happened, and then you see the video saying it's part of the sausage. What do you think? Like, you think America's going to fall for that trap if he does run because he is so smooth, so good at deflecting and spinning?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to fall for it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, this works 50% of the time. I mean, 50% of the time, this works every time. This has been the Democrats' great move, and it might even be a problem with the Republicans, where the Republicans come in and they're real honest, at least when it comes fiscally. They will let you know that your debt is going to ruin the economy. They will let you know how far back your kids are going to be. It's one of these spots. Take Barack Obama, by the way, and he was as good of a orator as anybody, but I mean, he promised laptops. If he won, you were going to have a new car in your driveway. Your kids were going to be able to go to college. You were going to have an extra vacation every year. Like, I mean, he said these things. As ridiculous as they were, he said these things.
Yeah.
And it works a lot of the time. And who isn't going to vote for that idea versus, the Rand Paul, which is, no, we're going to tighten down and we're going to buckle down. And here's why. Like, you're never going to be able to explain that. I was telling you guys that yesterday I was flying out here. I'm sitting next to a woman on the plane, and she was a very nice woman. She's headed out. I mean, yesterday is a Wednesday. She's flying out to Miami to board a cruise ship this morning and go on a cruise. And it's her third one in the last year. And she tells me that her husband acquired some great wealth. She's having some drink. She got a beautiful ring on. I even told her, I said, somebody likes you. Look at this ring. She told me she got a carat for every decade. So it's 4.5 carats. They've been married 45 years.
Wow.
Very nice woman is what I'm attempting to say. And she said, what do you do? And I never know how to answer that question. I mean, I retired from fighting. I think of myself as, do I say I'm retired? I don't know. I don't like that. An able-bodied guy shouldn't be retired. I don't know how to answer that question. And I told her, well, I don't know if it's what I want to do, but what I'm going to do is run for governor soon. And so she said to me, well, what's going to be different about you? And I said, well, if you're a laborer, and I gave my little labor speech about the plumbers. And I said, if you actually go out and work, you're only going to have to work 20 years. I will retire you. If you go get a journeyman's license, you put in 20 years of actual work, you're retired. And she says, well, wait a minute. What do you mean actual work? And I said, well, if you get dirty and or sweaty, like my father, who was gave her the whole speech, just like I delivered for you guys a minute ago. And she says, well, wait a minute. Why do you think plumbers are something special? She said, I think it's therapists. So what do you mean by that? She goes, I'm a tax and spend liberal. She goes, let me let you know that I'm a tax and spend liberal, but I think that therapists, she goes, because I go for the underdog. I said, Miss, I don't understand. I just met you. What are you talking about? I'm putting plumbers forward and you're putting therapists forward. You believe that the therapist, who is largely college educated and is in a nice fancy room and has all the answers, that's their job, versus the plumber? You think he wants to be out there doing that with his time, or in fact he's having to do that with his time? And we never quite saw eye to eye on that, and I just wasn't sure how we were so far off. I thought, what am I missing here? And she says to me, she was very nice. She liked me, I liked her, but she says to me, are you a Trump guy? And I said, well, yeah. And I said, yeah, I did The Apprentice, and so I had a little bit of a relationship. I just kind of answered it like that. And she says, well, do you believe that he created an insurrection on January 6th? Now, that's a huge deal for an Oregonian to ask me, because we burnt our city to the ground. It is still gone. And nobody got arrested. A guy got killed in the street on camera. Nobody got arrested. Louis Vuitton and Chanel, all their purses are gone. Nobody got arrested. And they're telling me that was an insurrection. And I simply said this. I said, young lady. She's about 75 years old. They love it when you say that, by the way. I said, young lady, I've written 2 books. One of them was a New York Times bestseller. I am from a family of attorneys. My sister's the head of the school board, and my mother's a teacher. I'm what you would consider a smart guy. I can't spell insurrection, but I don't think you can either. I don't think you've ever heard the word before. I don't think until Trump was accused of it that you've ever written it down or spoken it to a friend before. So before we go any further, I don't think that you really believe there was an insurrection. If we don't know what it means, and he hasn't been charged with it, and I kind of won her over with that. That meant something to her. She did not like me, and she let me know I'm probably not going to be voting for you in a very nice way. But I did make it somewhere with that point. When I told her, I don't think you can spell it, I got somewhere with that.
Well, what did she mean by the therapist, by the way?
What did she mean by the therapist?
What did she do? Did she work for a living, or she never worked because her husband made money?
That she used to be a farmer. And she said she worked real hard on those crops, and she would go home and put her head down on the pillow and fall right asleep. Then when she grew up and got through college, she became a therapist. And she said she would help people with their problems that they would call a 988 number. And that it was so exhausting.